Good morning. Our lecture today about central bank. What are the main differences between commercial banks and central banks? Number one, with respect to commercial banks, their main functions are accept deposits and make loans. While with respect to the central bank, they have a variety of functions, including accept deposits and make loans, but not from individuals, from government. In addition to um, keeping stock of foreign reserves at the central bank, conduct monetary policy, etc. Number two, commercial banks usually are owned by private sector or public sector. Say, for example, Bank Misr, this is a public owned commercial bank, while QNB is a private owned commercial bank. While with respect to central bank is commonly owned by the government. With some exceptions in some countries, but here in Egypt it's a completely public owned bank. Number three, commercial banks are managed by elected board, while in case of central bank it's managed by directed board, sorry, appointed board. Number four, with respect to commercial banks, they are for-profit institution, while with respect to central bank, it's not non-for-profit institution. So these are the main differences between commercial banks and central bank. What are the main objectives of central bank? Number one, stability and soundness of the financial system. One of the main objective of of commercial bank, sorry, of central bank is to keep the financial system stable. Number two, price stability. The central bank is responsible for conducting monetary policy and affecting its main tools. So it will help to achieve price stability in the country. Through using monetary policy, the central bank can affect the economic growth rate of the country and the employment level. And finally, the central bank can affect through increasing money supply or decreasing the money supply, the exchange rate. So it will affect exchange rate stability. What are the main functions of the central bank? Number one, regulating and supervising banks. As we said, that the central bank can affect the amount of money supply through changing the required reserve ratio or the discount loan or something like that. So this, at the same time, the central bank is going to make sure that the commercial banks keep the required reserves. So this is regulating and supervising banks. The central bank is going to make sure that the commercial banks has an efficient amount of capital in order to prevent bank insolvency and so on. Number two, issuing money, printing money. So the central bank is the only institution which is responsible for printing money. Bank of banks. As we said, that banks should keep the required reserves, and these banks can keep it at the central bank. They are going to keep it at the central bank as deposits at the central bank. So in this case, the central bank is going to act like bank for banks. We are going to borrow or make a deposit for money at the central bank. Bank of government. If any ministry would like to make loan, take loan or make a deposit, they are going to make it at the central bank, not at the commercial bank. If the government would like to issue uh, securities, the central bank is going to help them to in order to sell these securities or to give the money with them. Guardian of foreign exchange. Each country has a stock of foreign currency. This stock of foreign currency will be kept at the central bank. So it will be guardian or guard for the stock of foreign currency kept at the country. Also, the central bank is going to manage the exchange rate regime. What's meant by exchange rate? Exchange rate is the value of one currency in terms of another. So the central bank is going to affect the value of the exchange rate. Say for example, $1 equal 16 pounds. This is the exchange rate for the Egyptian pound per dollar. Function number 6 is conducting monetary policy. The main tool of monetary policy, which is under the control of the central bank, is money supply. So the central bank can affect the amount of money supply through increasing or decreasing money supply, and hence will affect the purchasing power of the country, and hence will affect the inflation rate, economic growth rate, unemployment rate, and so on. How the central bank can affect the money supply? Central bank credit control. There are two different types of credit controls: quantitative or indirect, and qualitative or direct. They are also known as selective. Mainly you are going to focus on the quantitative one. In case of quantitative controls, there are three main tools that can be used in order to control credit by the central bank. Number one, required reserves or required reserve ratio. If the central bank would like to increase the amount of money available at the commercial banks, that will be used to make loans or buy securities, increase credit, and so on. So they have to decrease required reserve ratio. As a result, total credit is going to increase. Number two, discount rate. As we said before, that the discount rate is the rate of interest that's going to be paid on the discount loan, which is the loan taken by the commercial banks from the central bank. So if the central bank would like to increase the amount of money at the commercial banks, they have to decrease the discount rate. So total credit is going to increase. But also, as we said before, that commercial banks are not going to rely on loans from the central bank except at a last chance, as the central bank is the lender of last resort. So this tool is going to be an ineffective tool. For two main reasons. Number one, Even if the central bank is going to decrease discount loan, there isn't any guarantee that the commercial banks are going to take the discount loan. Once again, even if the central bank is going to decrease the discount rate, there isn't any guarantee that the commercial bank is going to take the discount loan. Or in other words, commercial banks are going to take discount rate from the central bank in case of insufficient liquidity or liquidity shortage only. Number two, the effect of the discount policy or the discount rate will depend on the economic condition of the country. So during the recession, even if the central bank is going to decrease the discount loan and the commercial bank are going to take more discount rate, and the commercial banks are going to take a discount loan, but at the same time people are not going to take loans from the commercial banks. Tool number three is open market operation. In case of open market operation, the central bank is going to affect the amount available of money supply through selling and buying securities. So if the central bank conduct an open market operation through buying government securities from commercial banks will have more money and total credit is going to increase. But this tool can be an ineffective tool if the commercial banks have excess reserves. So in this case, you are going to increase the excess reserves only without any effect on the total amount of credit. The last point in our lecture is the central bank balance sheet. Mainly, we are going to talk about two main components in the main components in the asset liability and in the asset side and liability side. In case of commercial bank, we said that the asset side includes loans, securities, and reserves, etc. So in case of central bank, instead of loans, it's discount loans. Instead of securities, it is government securities. And foreign reserves. As we said, foreign reserves is a stock of foreign currency kept by the country. It's gonna be kept at the central bank. So these are the three main elements in the asset side of the commercial of the central bank balance sheet. What about the liability side? In case of liability side, bank reserves kept at the central bank is liabilities for the central bank. Currency in circulation, which is C. And government accounts. Instead of deposits, this is government accounts. So the liability side of the balance sheet is M note or the monetary base. So in our lecture today, we talked about what's the difference between commercial and central bank, what are the main objectives of the central bank, and what are the main functions of the central bank. Then we talked about the different tools used by the central bank in order to affect the credit. And finally, the central bank balance sheet. This is the end of our lecture. Thank you.